Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Unstuck Movement. This platform was created to help you find the breakthrough in your life that you need in any area, personal, professional, whatever you're going through. I love to bring people on this platform who have found that breakthrough for themselves as an example that it can also happen for you. I've got to shout out the sponsor of this podcast, the Connected Leaders Academy. Check out connectedleadersacademy.com. So the CLA, as it's called, has caused many breakthroughs for me in my career, personally and professionally. Inside of the CLA, there are hundreds of leaders, coaches, authors, speakers who all help each other grow from all around the world. If you find this to be something of interest to you, I suggest you check out connectedleadersacademy.com. Also, the owner and creator, Jose Escobar, you can find him on Facebook and on LinkedIn. But today, the guest of honor is the incredible Natalie Fox. So Natalie is the visionary behind Positive Ripples Coaching, specializing in business and leadership coaching for small business owners and organizational directors. With a rich background in organizational leadership and certifications in several coaching methodologies, she's committed to helping individuals and teams excel. Natalie, thank you so much for being a part of the Unstuck Movement.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. Really cool to have you here. I'm glad we have had a chance to connect, a chance to get to know one another. And I love to open these episodes up with a question. We all know that great questions lead to great answers. Great answers lead to bigger breakthroughs in our lives. So, what is one habit or routine that has made the biggest difference in breakthroughs for you in your life? Is there a habit or routine that you put into place that you know is going to lead to breakthroughs and for you going to that next level for yourself in your personal life and your business?
Absolutely. So one of the habits that's really stuck with me as being influential and effective has been keeping a journal. And when I say journal, I don't mean like I sit down at the end of the day and I write out 40 paragraphs about what I did throughout the day. I'm talking more of like a bullet journal, but it's very intentional. So I start off my journal with what my purpose is. Why do I get out of bed every single day to do what I do? Secondly, it's my mission. So there's a reason for why I get out of bed, but how do I actually effectively carry out that purpose? I want to write it down. Some days it's the same every single day. Some days it has a little bit of a different twist to it if I'm feeling a little bit different that day or I have something special planned. But it's important to me to know why I'm there and how I'm going to make that possible. It's all about being intentional. Next, I'm going to put in there a bullet point list of what kind of information I'm putting into my brain that day. What podcasts am I listening to? What books am I reading? What am I watching on TV? How is it feeding what I am trying to accomplish with my life? I keep a record of my thoughts, my feelings, so that I am in tune with what's going on internally. And then I have a record of what I'm doing externally. So what accomplishments do I need to do? What did I actually achieve? What are the obstacles that I'm facing? The fears that go along with those obstacles, and then the truths that can combat those fears. And all of this, it's about 4 pages in length by the end of the day of bullet points of things that are just me being reflective and intentional to know that everything that I'm doing from when I wake up to when I go to bed has some meaning or purpose in my life.
I love that. Journaling is so important. And it's funny, I just had a conversation yesterday about this with another woman, Carolyn Jones, that I was interviewing. And she journals with her non-dominant hand, which opens up another part of her brain. I thought, well, that's interesting. Wow. And so going through what you're talking about right now, journaling with bullet points, and you journal at various points throughout the day?
I do. So in the morning, I'll write out the format. So it's the same purpose, mission, content, in, thoughts, feelings, the same headings every day. But then throughout the day, I'll fill in those gaps. As I think of something new, I think, oh, I should write that one down. That's a good thought. I need to mull over that a little bit more. Or, oh, I just listen to a podcast. Let me make sure I write that down to make sure that I'm keeping in touch with what I'm putting into my brain. And then my feelings of obviously change throughout the day. They go up and down. So just being able to monitor what those look like so I can stay in tune.
When did you start your journaling habit? How long ago?
So I have tried journaling many years. This particular foundation that I found that actually works for me, I've been doing for about 2.5 years now. It started when I first started considering opening my own business. And so I really needed a way for my brain to be able to process the information, know what I'm thinking and feeling and how it's influencing my daily activity, and be able to just kind of look through that and go, oh, here's where I need to do some work, or here's what's really driving me forward. And I found that it's been really impactful for me.
Yeah, so touch on that a little bit, because this is an area that many leaders, many entrepreneurs adopt as a consistent journaling habit. How have things changed for you over the past 2.5 years of you consistently journaling? What have you noticed that has changed in you because of it?
Yeah, so I'm way more aware of who I am as an individual and the influence that I'm having on the people around me based on what I'm putting into my brain, what I'm feeling in the moment, what my thoughts actually are focused on, what intentional choices I want to make throughout the day. So just being aware of those things and being conscious of them makes me better able to relate to the people around me and relate to myself. So if my feelings start off in the morning and the first thing I write down is I'm tired, like, whew, we know it's going to be a bumpy road for that day. And I should probably pivot maybe some of my activities to give me some room to breathe and to rest and to restore my soul a little bit before jumping into that really big prospect or client meeting. So just being in tune to that makes me a better person, and then makes me a better person to the people around me.
I wonder if anybody wakes up. I mean, this is just my own personal thing. I wake up and think, man, I'm tired. Man, it's so comfy in my bed. And I never don't wake up that way. I never don't wake up and be like, boy, I'm wide awake right now. I always wake up and like, oh, I'm so sleepy. This bed's so
Yeah,
comfortable. Now, in the summertime, I think that changes. The wintertime, that's when you get extra comfy. And so
absolutely.
it's like overcoming an obstacle every single day of battling that
Yeah,
battle, which is a great thing. I mean, I think of life in the sense of like enjoying the things that you used to complain about. How can
yes,
I enjoy things that I used to complain about? And one of those things is like, man, getting out of bed, because what do I have to look forward to today?
that's
What do
right.
I have look forward to helping people today? What am I going to create today? Those sorts of things. So being able in that sleepy state to have a
Mhm.
reframe for why
Yes,
am I doing what I'm doing? What does today look like? And
absolutely.
I'm just
Yep.
going to throw in a habit that I do that is going along with the journaling you're talking about. I prepare my day the night before mentally.
Mhm.
Well, I look at my calendar and see here's what's going on. I categorize like what needs to come first, what needs to come second.
Mhm.
But then like just framing it and like what am I looking forward to tomorrow? That when I wake up tired, it's going to be like, oh yeah, I'm tired right now, but so what? I get to do these like this podcast. I get to do an awesome podcast today with an incredible coach. That excites me and gets me fired up
Yeah,
to get out of bed.
exactly. But when I say tired, I don't even just mean physically tired. I mean also emotionally tired, mentally tired. Like if I had, so it's what? It's Tuesday. So let's say yesterday I had from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. client meetings back to back, or business building meetings back to back that involved other people. I'm an introvert. So when I spend an entire day with people and leading those people or driving conversations, that physically, mentally, emotionally drains me as an individual. So if I don't prepare enough time for myself to recharge at the end of the day or at the beginning of the next day, that tired is going to go way beyond just not wanting to roll out of bed because I want a few extra minutes of sleep. It's like I need to just be alone for a while. And those are the things that also it plays in, because if I go into it on my next day feeling that kind of tired, then I'm not going to give my best to the people that I'm around because I was drained the day before and didn't provide enough space for myself to be able to give them the best of me. And that's what I want to avoid most often. We're always going to be physically tired. That it's just the nature of life, right? Our bodies are breaking down and we're just tired. But if we can prepare ourselves mentally and emotionally to be with the people and in spaces that we need to be, that's when I think it really makes a difference.
Very true. Very well said. I love that. And this podcast, this platform is all about breakthrough, finding breakthrough in our lives. I titled this episode Outside of the Comfort Zone. What is it about you getting outside of your comfort zone that's created breakthroughs for you in your life and in your business? Speak to that comfort zone situation a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. So I just mentioned that I'm an introvert. So by nature and by personality, so not even just the introvertedness, but by my personality as well, I tend to be less engaging with people that I don't know really well. Um, I like to have deep, meaningful relationships. So sometimes things like a networking event where I go in and I'm trying to just touch base with all of these different people who might be able to, make an impact on my business, or I might be able to make an impact on their business. That's a challenge for me. And I have to be mentally prepared to go into those spaces to bring on a smile and be welcoming and make those connections. Um, so part of that comfort zone for me is I would rather stay in my house with my books and my cats and sit in my cozy chair. And that's way more appealing to me than going out into the world to be like, hi, my name's Natalie and I own Positive Ripples Coaching. And how can I help you? Like, ooh. But that's not how you build a business. I can't build a business sitting on my giant beanbag chair reading the most recent, crime mystery novel that I want to pull off the shelf. I can't meet people that way. And I also can't impact them, whether I work with them professionally or just have a great conversation with them. That's not going to happen that way. I have to be intentional to put myself out there so that I can be with the people who I can add value to on a daily basis. And that means stepping outside that comfort zone, stretching myself beyond what I think is possible, even sometimes, and saying, nope, this is what you want for your life. This is where you want to be headed. You either take the steps towards it or you change your values and you change your goals. And for me, I don't like to change things that I've put my mind to. So we got to push through that boundary of what feels safe and secure and comfortable and go out and make a difference.
Absolutely. I say to my son all the time, it's just so important. If something's exciting to you and you know it's good for you, but it also scares you, then you should definitely do that thing. You should learn to run towards that thing.
Yes.
Because it might be a little bit scary. It might be kind of daunting, but that's because it's an opportunity for you to grow. That's where that discomfort comes from. Now, there's different kinds of fear, right? There's, when you're in real danger and you should avoid the situation. But there's situations where you might feel like you're in real danger. That's just because the old you is like, oh no. The fleshly part of you is like, oh no, we're getting ready to grow and I'm not ready for that right now. I want to stay the same.
That's right. Yes.
When you're working with people, what are some strategies that you have for them to get outside of their comfort zone? In some situations where it's time to nudge. I guess I should ask that. That's the question I want to ask. How do you know when it's time to nudge somebody outside of their comfort zone?
It's an excellent question. So the first thing that I always do is I want people to identify that vision for themselves, that purpose, that why that they're getting out of bed in the morning. What makes them excited about whatever it is that they have to do in life? And then it's about identifying those fears. Now, my mentor, he gave me a little acronym for fears, and it's stuck with me, and it's false expectations appearing real. Now, we know that you just said it. Some things are real fears and we should avoid them. But if it's about having an expectation of something and we put that on that situation or we put that on ourselves, like those are the things that you can analyze. And I love the question, why? I feel like a kid who, is asking their parent, well, why? Because the deeper you can go with that why, I think is what really helps to understand what's holding us back and what we need to do to push forward. So for me, when you ask about how I know when to nudge, it's about being in relationship with those people. I have to know who they are as a person. I have definitely had opportunities to be in conversation with people, and I right off the bat can see the fear or the obstacle that's holding them back. But if I haven't built any kind of relationship with that individual and I say, this is what I think you need to do, they're not going to do it. They're going to put that little wall up and go, who's that person? She doesn't know me. So it's about first building the relationship in order for me to be able to say, so this is what I'm observing. What do you think about this? And why do you think this is possible? And why do you think it's important? What has happened that this fear or this expectation has taken root, that it's blocking whatever it is that you want to do? And from that point, we can ask gentle but very intentional questions that help to nudge, as you say, nudge forward. And it's been important to me, especially working with people who have a lot of deep-seated fears, to understand that even though I can see it, every little step is what's important. It's not about jumping that wall, right? It's about taking a chisel and like breaking it apart little piece at a time, because sometimes we can just climb right over it, but a lot of times it's about breaking it down, and that takes time and it takes patience, and it can get really frustrating, especially if you can see the solution, or you can see the answer, and or you think you can see the answer and you want to move forward, either as a coach or as the person trying to break down that wall. It sometimes takes time, and we need to recognize that. Otherwise, we're going to give up on it way too quick.
That's really, really true, Natalie, and really good, because speaking personal experience, like I can see what needs work to get where I want to go. I can see where I want to go and I can see what needs work, but it's also, what do I need to work on? What do I need to nudge myself on, step myself tiny steps outside of that comfort zone to get me to a place of taking action on the things that need to get done to go where I want to go. And that's one of the great things about having vision, right? Seeing the vision's one thing, great. Okay. And I'm going to trust in God to get me to where I've been promised to be. But if I'm going to get to where I've been promised to be, then I also need to put the work in to step. The situations and opportunities are going to show up for me to put the work in. So I've got to be willing to put the work in. And that's one of the most difficult parts, is like, okay, so now here's another opportunity for growth. And sometimes you don't feel like growing. Sometimes you don't want like getting out of bed. Sometimes you don't feel like doing it. But showing up and consistently doing it is everything. And then on the other side of that, also, when you don't do it, not beating yourself up for it and not being super hard on yourself.
Absolutely. You need to have that grace for yourself to know that there are going to be days where you say, no, I'm not going to put in what I need to put in to do this. And that is okay. Sometimes we need the day to stay in bed, or we need the day to sit on the giant beanbag and just read a book and not interact with the people. That's okay. The point is, though, not to stay there. Anytime we find that comfort zone and we go, okay, I'm comfortable here, and today I'm going to stretch and take a step outside of it, and then the next day you go, no, I'm going to go back inside the comfort zone, that's okay. But you have to keep taking the steps outward. Otherwise, you'll never move forward.
Absolutely. So I want to talk about a turning point for you. I want to find out about breakthrough, about this next level, right? So a turning point for you that reshaped your fear into action. We're going to talk about that in just 60 seconds.
Hi, my name is Jose Escobar, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Connected Leaders Academy. We're a growing tribe, a community of entrepreneurs all over the world, globally, all across the country, high performers, titans of industry. If you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to grow personally and professionally, scale your influence, develop your skill sets, move the needle in your business, more clients, more money, more profit, the bottom line, and of course, grow your circle and your network like never before, this is where you want to be. Join the Connected Leaders Academy today. We are scaling massively. We want to welcome you in. Check me out. on Instagram and on Facebook, the @ JAESCO25. We look forward to having you join us. Take care.
So talking about a turning point, we're talking about these baby steps and nudging, taking ourselves outside of that comfort zone, taking that fear turned into action. Was there a turning point for you that reshaped this for you, where you had that like huge breakthrough?
Yes, there were many.
Let's
So
talk about one, or
when
we
you
can
ask
talk
me
about
to talk
multiple.
about one, I'm like, oh my goodness, how do you pick this one? But so for me, I don't like status quo. Okay. So I have always been a learner, a thinker, and somebody who likes to delve deep. You can ask anybody in my past life who's known me for a long period of time. They'll tell you that personal development and growth has always been something that I've been very passionate about. So one of the things that really helped me break through some of my stuckness was better understanding who I am as an individual. A tool that I utilize both as a coach and personally, and I recommend to everybody, is the CliftonStrengths assessment. It basically breaks down the things that you do really, really well and the things that you don't do as well. We don't use things like weaknesses. That's not the point. The point is to develop and build your strengths so that you are using what you've naturally been given well in life so that you can move forward. So that was a big breaking point for me, and just being to go, oh, look, my number one strength is learner. That's why I get really bored when I'm doing the same thing over and over and over again. And having that understanding of who I am as a person was crucial in me being able to take next steps. But the one that I really want to talk about is the moment that I decided to start my business. Now, you have to understand, I've told you, I'm a comfort zone person. So I like to feel secure. I like to feel safe. I don't like a whole lot of change if I'm not in control of it. I was living in Colorado Springs, which is my favorite place in the United States. I had a fantastic job. I liked what I did. I loved the people I did it with. It paid really well. It was a great opportunity for me. I had just bought my own house, first house, and I just bought it, remodeled some things. It looked just like I wanted it to be. Even with all of that, there was this niggle in my being that said, this is not actually what you want. And I said, well, of course it's what I want. I moved here. I've got this great job. This is what I want. And it took a lot of self-reflection throughout my daily life of going, okay, when that niggle pops up and I'm feeling it, what's happening around me? What situation am I in? And usually it was something that was not geared towards my strengths. It was managing severe conflict in the workplace, or it was repeating myself over and over and over again, trying to get somebody to do something a different way, and they just had no interest in changing their behavior whatsoever. Whatever the reason, anytime I felt that niggle, I had to examine what was happening around me that was bringing that sensation up within me. And through that reflection, I could then say, okay, these are the things that are causing me hesitation, causing me stress, causing me dissatisfaction in my daily life, even when everything looks like it should be perfect. And then at that point going, again, I can either live with this or I can figure out how I can grow from this. What do I need to do to move past this? And in the end of it, it was saying no to all of those things that I thought I wanted. The Colorado home, the really good, well-paying job, to step out on the tiniest little branch of the tree to say, I'm taking a step of faith. I'm starting a business that I have no idea if it's going to take off or if I'm going to be homeless in 6 months living in my parents' basement going, help, I need a real job. I had no idea. But the fear of whatever might happen was not nearly as influential as that need to move past the status quo and step outside that comfort zone and say, this is what I really want for my life. and I'm going to go after it. So reflection and intentional action are always the things. When I look back at all of the breakthroughs in my life, those two components are always there saying it's time to take the next step forward.
Yeah. You know that, right? It might not on paper seem like the obvious thing, but you just know it's the right thing to do.
Yes.
Prepare yourself for it.
Mhm.
But yeah, to do that is everything. I love that because so many people stay in places that are safe and comfortable, and talking, it's not a bad thing necessarily. Like if you've got a family and you've got a house and you've got kids to take care of, then maybe you do need to go build that thing on the side, and you need to get to a certain place before you can jump ship and create to make that your own thing. There's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely.
Right? Because sometimes you need to stay in the place that you're at while you're building the thing that you're building. But it's so important to never give up hope on it and to never continue to move forward on it.
Yeah.
And so I want to speak to that because it can be discouraging just to take tiny steps at it on a daily basis, or even tiny steps on a weekly basis, depending on the amount of time you have. But if you've had the vision and you're constantly moving towards the vision, and you can, I mean, they say success likes speed, which there is truth to that. But success also likes consistency and perseverance of you continually moving forward. You have to build that momentum. My mentor often says this: when something is in the far distance of like what you want to do, and you can see it, but you're not there yet, as you continue to do things to bring yourself closer to that, you're building that momentum. You're feeling lots of resistance, but you're building momentum. As that breakthrough moment is when that resistance breaks, and all of that energy that's fighting you now comes behind you and supports you, and now it's also pushing you forward. So the whole paradigm changes, but you've got to work towards getting to that stage. You've got to work towards getting to that part. Absolutely. And that could be a slow process. That could be a fast process, depending on what you're capable of doing. That's and right. You said something a few minutes ago talking about the CliftonStrengths and your strength being learning. And I was just having this conversation with somebody the other day when talking about values and things of that nature. The gift and the curse concept of your biggest strength. How is learning your biggest gift, but how could learning also be your biggest curse? How has it played two different roles in your life?
Yes. So I believe everything has two sides to the coin, right? In the CliftonStrengths world, we call those balconies and basements. So, which is great for me because I love the visual imagery, right? I think of a balcony and I'm standing out there. There's a great view. The sun is shining on me. That's a place I want to be. But if I'm in the basement, like I think of the dark, dank, musty smelling space where there's no lights, or if it is, it's the dirty window that, the gardening has kind of grown over. No one wants to spend a whole lot of time in that kind of a basement. So for a learner is somebody who loves the process of new information. So it's not always about just the information itself, it's how we get to that information as well as the information. However, on the flip side of that, I can, and I'm speaking personally because anybody can have a learner strength and it won't necessarily look just like mine. But for me, I can spend a lot of time reading books and books and books and learning and going, okay, if I just read one more book, I will learn enough that I can do something with this. Well, I read that book and it didn't give me as much information as I wanted. So I just need one more book and then I'll be able to do something with it. So there's a procrastination in there of just one more thing but before I take the step. And it's not so much that I need one more thing. It's that fear of not knowing enough to actually make me successful at that thing that I'm trying to do. And so it's overcoming that fear of failure, that fear of looking foolish in front of somebody if I don't have the answer to the question that they're going to ask me, even though I've read all of these books and I've taken all of these courses. So sometimes learning is fantastic because you get to learn a whole bunch of things and it makes the world open up with creativity and options and opportunities. But at the flip side, it's like you actually have to do something with that learning, or what's the point of doing it at all?
Yeah, very true. And that is the flip side. I challenge anybody out there. First of all, knowing what your strengths are is very important. When you find your number one strength or your number one value, it's played a great role in your life, but it's also held you back from things in your life.
Absolutely.
And
but that's where intentionality comes into play.
Yeah, right. And for me, simplicity is a strength of mine. I love to keep things simple.
Mm-hmm.
But I've also found that I've avoided things that I know I needed to do because they're a little bit more complicated. I either need to learn how to do them to simplify them, or I need to outsource them and delegate them to somebody else.
Yes.
Instead, I'll avoid them. And I've recognized, and also the learning one for me too, same as you said, I can continue to learn about something to procrastinate on actually taking action on and doing it.
Right.
Instead of, I've got the information. They say in order to start something, you should have about 20% of the information, and then you'll learn from there to really take action. Like, okay, so now I know that. What am I procrastinating on that I need to take action on now instead of waiting? So I asked the audience that question. What is something that you're procrastinating on right now that you should just take action on because you know enough about it, because you know it's inside of you to start the thing? Mm-hmm. So just start the thing. And what is something that you're avoiding that could be too complex in your mind? But if you just spent those baby steps, taking that process of chipping away at something to get outside of your comfort zone, how could you chip away at it to have that breakthrough, to take action, to get that thing done? This has been really good, Natalie. I love talking to you, and Positive Ripples Coaching is the perfect coaching name for your business because you're so positive. I can feel the ripples you're sending out from your positivity. So if people want to find you, they can go to .cards/Positive Ripples Coaching.
That's correct. So that's a dot card profile. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's a digital business card platform. Yes. And it's got everything on there, from my personal or my professional email address that comes right to me, to my phone number, to all of my social media, my website, everything. So it's the most comprehensive way for me to pass it all over.
Yeah, I love that. And it's .cards/Positive Ripples Coaching, to spell it out a little better, or Natalie at positiveripplescoaching.com. Anything you want to leave the audience with before we sign off?
Oh, my one encouragement to anyone who is listening or watching is to just keep moving forward. We have the opportunity to either be victimized by the obstacles in front of us, or we can be the victors over those obstacles. And I want everybody to be a victor, not a victim, because nothing is impossible. We can overcome all the things if we just take the intentional action and the time to reflect and be patient and gracious with ourselves.
Yes, I love that. Absolutely. Natalie Fox, thank you for being a part of the Unstuck movement.
Thank you.